Hello, in today's video, we will see how you can work with your team to manage all your cloud infrastructures on Brainboard. And for today's use case, we're going to work on Azure, the Azure monitoring that you see here with the design and the Terraform code. So to be able to work with your team on Brainboard, you simply need to invite them to join your organization by specifying their email address, either owner, admin, member, or guest. Then you can create different teams. For example, at Brainboard, we have created the team Cloud Architect, DevOps, Security Squad, and DevOps and Architects. So here you can create different names, choose who are the admin and who are the members as well. Then you can create different projects. For example, for us, we have created the project from use cases to cloud strategies. We have chosen these teams and we have chosen to create this environment. So here you can choose a name, the teams, and the environment you would like to create. Once you have done that, you can go back to the design and here you are going to the architecture selector. The architecture selector, the way you can use it is to structure the way you will work with your team on Brainboard with all the project from Brainboard trainings to use cases. In each project, you have different environment from dev to staging. And then in each environment, you have different architecture. For example, here we have the architecture AWS landing zone, Azure monitoring, GCP, load balancer, and OCI. And today we are working on the Azure monitoring. So here you have the documentation with the README with the description, the architecture components, the requirement, and how to use the architecture. Here you also have all your Terraform files with the main.tf, for example here the providers, the variables, the Terraform tvars, and for example the locals. So when we speak about the variables, you can actually find them here in input. You can create variables at the organization level, project, environment, or architectures. Here, for example, for this infrastructure, we have created 10 variables and 8 locals. For example, to create one variable, you choose a name, you choose the scope, either organization, project, environment, or architecture, and then you choose a type. Then here you write the value that you want, the default, and the description. For example, here we have chosen the name dppass, architecture, string, the value Brainboard, the description, and we have flagged the value of this variable as sensitive. This value, you can find it here in the Terraform tvars. So now I'm going to show you how you can set up your Git credentials on Brainboard. So for example, here you can do the integration between GitHub and Brainboard, but also choose your personal Git tokens, for example, Azure DevOps, Bitbucket, and GitLab. For example, for GitLab, you choose and you add your credentials with the name, the base URL, and the token. You can also change the scope of the credentials by selecting for which project, environment, and architectures you would like to authorize to use these credentials. Once you have done it, here you can also set up your cloud credentials. As Brainboard is a multi-cloud solution, you can work on AWS, on Azure, GCP, Scaleway, and OCI. For example, for Azure, you choose the credentials that you would like to use with the name, the subscription ID, client ID, tenant ID, and client secret. Here you can do and select the project, environment, and architectures you would like to authorize these credentials. So here you can do the same thing by changing the scope of the credentials as the one I showed you here on GitLab. Then you go back to the design, and here you can create a pull request by choosing, for example, either GitHub, Azure DevOps, Bitbucket, or GitLab. Here we choose GitLab. Then the project Brainboard demos, main. Here it's Azure monitoring, and then you create it. Brainboard will give you the link to the PR. Here it is. With the name, so here is my name. Who requested to merge Brainboard. Here you have all the changes and all the Terraform files. And then you can merge here like that. So now we go back to Brainboard. And here you can also choose, for example, to design your own CI/CD engine. So here we're going to choose a name. So here we will choose the name, let's say for example, new workflow. Then here we add a task. For example, here we are going to do a Terraform plan, but you can also do a Terraform validate, plan, apply, or destroy. We'll give it a name. And here we can add another task. It could be, for example, infra cost optimization. Here, the API key. Here you can do either breakdown or a diff. And then we run a parallel task is going to be, for example, tfsec. Here, security check. And here, ignore the failure. And here we can, for example, use this task to send an email. So to notify cloud architects. For example, here we choose tarak@brainboard.co. Enter. And here you say, for example, please check this infrastructure. So here we are good. And then we save the workflow. Once it's saved, we can run the pipeline. So here, the first action that we will do will be the Terraform plan. We will have the output here. So here, depending on how big your infrastructure is, it can take some time. Here we are good. The plan, we are going to add 16 to add, 0 to change, and 0 to destroy. Here, for example, security check, we have no problem detected. So here we are good. Then here we are running infra cost. We, for example, here you have the overall total here with $53. You have also, for example, the name of the resources, the monthly quantity, the monthly cost. And then here we send the email to a colleague who is also a cloud architect, and he can check, he can go to Brainboard and check this infrastructure. So here we have the status, the ID, the pipeline, who was the initiator, and the date. For example, now, if we want another colleague to be able to use the workflow that we have designed, we simply need to create the template. Here we can give it a name. So here it's infracost and tfsec. For example, with Terraform. You can add a description as well, and then you clone the workflow. So once it's cloned, you can actually go back here to templates, and here, this is the workflow. To use it, create the workflow from template. So here it is. So another colleague can use it as well with the name that you see here. Also about the remote backend, what you can do is that you can choose either the remote backend at the organization level, either AWS S3, here for example, S3, blob storage, or Brainboard backend. This is at the organization level. At the architecture level, you go to settings, and here you have the Terraform backend for your dev state files at the architecture level. So here we checked everything. So the cost has been calculated. The security check has been done. Now we can actually convert this infrastructure into a template. So here, organizational public, let's say organization. Here we have it. We keep it the name as it is, and then we publish it to the catalog. Let's say, for example, now, so it's being cloned. Another architect would like to use it in, for example, in prod or in staging. Go to staging. Here you have no architecture selected. Here you go to templates. You look for the template that you have just created, is this one. And then in literally 2 seconds, you have the architecture and the Terraform code with all of these files. Also, to use modules, you can import all your modules on Brainboard by choosing a name, either import from the registry, from Git, or from files. And here, once you have imported your modules, you can also build your own module catalog for your team to use across multiple environments. So I hope this video has been useful for you, and if you have any question about it, I will be happy to help you build your own use case on Brainboard. Have a great day.